Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we're unboxing the Where the Sea Dreams collection from Cocoa Daisy and putting together a project. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into Where the Sea Dreams from Cocoa Daisy. So when I first saw this collection, I was immediately reminded of last July's, but that one was a little more beachy, I think, or I don't know. It was a little bit different. So I feel like they would go together well, but I think this one I prefer because it's less ocean themed and more travel. So I'm going to start with the classic cousin sticker kit. These are just flat sticker sheets and you get a few, I don't even know how many, we'll count them. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sticker sheets and 1 vellum sheet. This is just gorgeous. Like, these are just all of the great colors and icons of the kit. I'm really excited to use these. These, of course, work really well in the Hobonichi Cousin, but you can use them in any journal or planner or even in your scrapbook. I use them sometimes in my scrapbook. There's always an alpha and a number and some washi strips. I love this as a PDX. I'm going there this month, so that's exciting. Then there's always the days of the week that are great headers for your weekly spreads, but you can also use these in like Project Life. Some little planner icons. Word phrase strips, my favorite. More icon stickers. These ones are like planner stickers. And then you have 2 sheets with labels, which are always useful, and these kind of like designed headers. And I really love making Project Life cards with these, where you put this on top of a 3x4 card just in the center for a filler card. And these are also great on the weekly spreads in the Hobonichi Cousin in the sidebar. Okay, let's move on. I've got the Washi Trio. Okay, I always get the Washi Trio because I'm just obsessed with washi and always want extra pieces. So I'm gonna swatch these in my Hobonichi Cousin here on today's spread when I'm filming this. Ooh, this one, I feel like I need to do a second swatch because you didn't get enough of the image. But look, it's got this really neat, what is that? Like a compass, I guess, that's on, or like I don't know what that's called. On the map that shows you what, you know, east, west, north, and south. It's upside down right now. I'll flip it around. I always have to unroll them upside down because I'm a lefty. So I unroll the other direction than most people. And then I love that one. That's just a really nice, pretty blue pattern. And then this one, of course, is like an ocean. There we go. It's our Washi Trio. Okay, let's do the stationery kit. So let's see here. The stationery kit is my favorite kind of like little kit. You get just like a taste of everything. So if you don't want to spend as much with Cocoa Daisy, or you just want something a little bit like a little taste of everything, this is kind of what I recommend. So we've got this transparency, we've got a vellum, and then some stickers, clear stickers. Go ahead and put this in here. You get 3 small sticker sheets. So there's always one that's days of the week for planner spreads, but again, I like to use these in journaling. I like to use these in my Project Life album. There's a lot of ways you can use those. And then a couple other sticker sheets. These ones are ocean theme, and then these little tags. And again, the Portland, Oregon, perfect for me right now. There's always a sticky note, and I love using these in my journal spreads. This one's a nice little seashell. Okay, we have some die cut stickers, These are vellum, and it looks like we've got a bunch of like sea creatures and under the water themed things. Just put them in here. I'm gonna open this. This really cute paper clip. I would want to add this on a mini album for a beach trip and put it like on the top, just like hanging out of the album. So cute. We got some large tags here and a postcard. Again, that is just adorable. I love that postcard. And the postcard's 4x6, so I can use that in Project Life. And then there's a washi tape, but it looks like this is the same one as I got in the washi trio. Occasionally that happens. I'm not gonna open it then because it's gonna go in my backup drawer for when I use up that first one. But occasionally that happens where I end up with the same one in the washi trio, but not, usually it doesn't. A little bummed it's not this blue one though, because I love that one. I kind of want to. But this one's also fun. Okay, let's do the scrapbook kit with the pocket card add-on. Oh, and just I have this little always ready for summer sticker. Okay. I'm gonna move this to the side because I'm gonna use this kit for my first project. I find that the washi tape in the scrapbook kit is usually more of a neutral type pattern that's good for scrapbooking. Of course, you could use any of these in a scrapbook, but this is great for layering with other embellishments. Save the cards for last. Okay, then we have some rub-ons. Large puffy alpha. I like that color and font are just gorgeous. For our papers, so we have 2 just plain white cardstock, which is great to have. And then we've got 2 of each design. Oh, those ones are my favorite. I like those too. But this always happens, you guys, where my 2 favorite papers, this one and this one, are back to back. But at least I have 2, so I don't have to pick one. I can do both. Then let's see, we've got some chipboard. Ooh, I love the large travel tags. Perfect for going on an adventure that I'm traveling this month. These little pockets, let's see, I'm not sure what goes with these. We'll just open them. Okay, so you got these 2 little felt pockets, and then these tags fit perfectly, so you can decide which ones you want to go in them. There are 4 tags here. And yeah, they fit perfectly inside these. Oh wait, there are 5 tags and 2 pockets. The other ones I can just use as tags. Super cute. Okay, there's these paper folders. These are great for interactive pages. Or if you're doing Project Life, you can definitely use these for hidden journaling. You would just fold it and attach it to like a 3x4 card in the pocket with your journaling on the inside, and then someone would have to pull it out to actually read it. Okay, so here's our die cuts. Again, we have, these are stickers, adhesive back stickers, but they're not, unlike the ones in the stationery kit, these are cardstock. Those ones were vellum. And we have a little more like icons with words and things that are better for scrapbooking versus journal spreads. A 3x4 stamp set. And then we have our cards. I'm just gonna flip through these really quickly. Okay, that is the kits. I'm gonna go ahead and move to my computer and I'll pop back on and film a spread for my daughter's album. Okay, so today I'm working on filling in gaps in my daughter's album. If you haven't seen my previous videos in this series, essentially what I'm doing is working through 2021 using the 2025 Cocoa Daisy kits to get all of these stories in my daughter's album. So I'm creating a 12 by 12 divided page protector spread per month, recapping the month. And then I'm adding in inserts as I go to tell other stories. I also have some inserts like this one that were previously in here, or like this one that were previously planned. And then I'm creating my 12 by 12 spread per month. So I do have process videos for a lot of these earlier ones if you want to check those out on my channel. So now we're in July, and coming in the album, I have the back of June. So this is clearly going to be my divided page protector. I'm just going to pull that out to work on. And then I had this 8.5 by 11 spread that is from the summer of 2021. I think this is something that actually happened in August, but it doesn't really matter for purposes of the story. It was just kind of like a recap of what happened for the summer. But I'm gonna go ahead and flip it to the back of this page protector, because what I'm gonna do is use the front to create an extra page for July, because in July we went to Cape Cod for a week. So I'm going to tell that story in here. And here you can see, so this was all May. I had one June insert, and this I had created previously. So then here's the June divided page protector. Here's gonna be my July one. I'm gonna have an 8.5 by 11 for July. Then I have this, and then probably I'm gonna do my August. And then here, the next things in here are from October. And then these are actually, this one's from 2022 and this one's from 2020. It was just some writing that my daughter did in high school. And then this one, I think this is from 2022. So, and then this is fall 2021. So I'm gonna have to kind of rearrange a little bit. And then I think what I'm gonna do is end this album at the end of 2021 because it's getting full, and then put the spring semester of her junior year in the next album. So this album runs, let's see, I think this is 2019, but it's the second half of 2019, so when she started 9th grade, to the end of 2021, so halfway through her junior year. And I think it just makes sense to split it that way because I think that's just where the album's gonna be full. And then the last one will be the second half of her junior year, her senior year. And then I will have a few things for like after graduation and going into college, but not a ton. Okay, so I'm gonna put this aside and work on my pages. So I printed and edited my photos. Essentially, basically what I do to do these recaps, because obviously it's been a while, is I have this is just my like random notes journal that I've been keeping this year. And so today is May 2nd. So I just wrote down some notes of what happened this month. And I came up with these stories by flipping through my Project Life album from July 2021. So just kind of focused on the stories that are related to my daughter. And then here I printed out a bunch of photos from the month. So I'm gonna rearrange them on this spread. And then I also created this collage in Photoshop. So this is a 4.5 by 5.5 canvas, and I just created it in Photoshop, and I added some rectangles on here and then masked my photos into it to do a recap of our trip to Cape Cod. And I'm thinking I'm going to create a spread with one of these pattern papers and this. I think I might do the fish, even though I really would prefer if the fish were going horizontal, but that's okay. Like this, and then kind of put some more on here about Cape Cod. So that will be that spread. I think maybe I'll do this one first and then come back and do this. But I'm going to put you guys on voiceover as I get this put together. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I did pull out a few of these cards because I do plan to also use this kit in Project Life. This year so far, I've been using these in the correct month, so I would save this until July and put it in the July Project Life. But it has all this Portland stuff and travel stuff, and we are traveling in May to Portland. So I'm going to use this kit for my Portland spread. This obviously says July 2025, so I pulled that out to put in Project Life or in my mini me album for July of 2025. But I pulled out a few of these ones that were some of my favorites and related to travel that I think will be good. And this one that says PDX on it for my Portland spread. So I'm going to put these to the side and this one to save them and then pull from this for these projects. Okay, so I'm starting with this spread for our Cape Cod adventure. I really love how this one came out. I feel like this is a very simple formula that you could use if you want to include multiple photos on one spread. So I created that template in Photoshop and I just kind of made my own template by adding rectangles to a larger rectangle and then using a clipping mask to add my photos into each of those rectangles just to get a spread of various photos from this adventure. The 6x8 papers in the kit are actually 6x8.5, which is perfect if you scrapbook 8.5 by 11, and actually has encouraged me to scrapbook 8.5 by 11 a bit more because, as you can see, I could turn one of those papers on its side and it will go all the way across an 8.5 by 11 page. I love using white cardstock as my background in most of my scrapbook layouts, but having a piece of pattern paper as a base as a horizontal rectangle across the top there is really easy to build on top of. I used one of the pocket cards, which are great even when you're not using pocket pages because they are just great or rectangles, I guess, of paper with a lot of times sentiments or other things that work as a title or something else for your spread. So I really like layering them like this. I also wanted to use some of the washi tape from the kit as a base. Washi tape serves as a really great way to kind of ground your text or something else. I originally had intended for these two stripes right here to be a base for a title, but once I start putting it together, you'll see that they are kind of too close together. I had 3 strips of washi on here, one across the bottom where the photos are kind of going off of the larger blue rectangle, just to kind of ground the photos a little bit. And then those 2 strips there, which were intended to ground my title. So I can't remember exactly what I was going to write. It was like Cape Cod vacation or something like that. But what I end up doing is just writing Cape Cod because I have these puffy alphas from the kit. And my thought was that I would write 2 words, one on each line. And you can see here, I'm realizing that the washi tape is too close together for the size of these alphas. So what I end up doing is just writing Cape Cod all on one line. Actually, I think I was just going to do Cape Cod on 2 separate lines. But I decided to just put it all on the top line. You can see there I'm trying it and it just doesn't fit. I should have spaced the washi tape out more, or I could have tried to move it at this point, but I felt like it was fine as is. And instead, I just wanted to add a die cut piece on the base there on that second strip of washi, just to add like a little subtitle almost to the spread and just add something else so that washi tape kind of served a purpose as a base for something. Next, I wanted to add just a few additional embellishments. I really, really, really love these puffy stickers from the kit. They are so much fun. I also love a lot of these die cuts I thought would work really nicely. I'm just kind of going back and forth, thinking about what I want to include, and I decide to add a couple of the puffy stickers. I think I add more than one. It's hard to remember when I did this. I filmed this video. Usually when I film a video and then I do the voiceover, it's usually only been a couple days, but it's been a couple weeks now. So I am watching this with you guys, kind of trying to remember how this came together. Anyway, so when I have a plain white page, I often want something to kind of ground the spread across the bottom. Sometimes it's just an embellishment cluster, but here I decided to add the washi tape all the way across the bottom of the page, and I'm cutting off the piece that just kind of went off the page. I definitely could have lined it up better so it didn't need to be trimmed across the bottom, but I felt like that just worked. I'm going to add another puffy sticker here at the top, just trying to kind of create a visual triangle with the embellishments. And I'm thinking about adding something else on the bottom there. I apologize that it was going off camera, but what I ended up doing was adding one of those die cut pieces. There you can see I slid the page up. So you have kind of a visual triangle between those three embellishments that will help make the page look a little bit more balanced. The last thing I'm going to do is add a date stamp. I'm using my rolling date stamp. This is an older one I have because this is for 2021. And the current one I have does not go back that far. So I have my older one. That is just kind of a tip if you scrapbook, never throw away those rolling date stamps, even if the dates are no longer relevant, because if you ever want to go back and scrapbook some older pages, they're very nice to have. I'm moving on to the pocket page spread. So for this one, I have photos from the month of July 2021, except for our adventure to Cape Cod, which was what I documented on that previous page. And this format is working really well for me in her album, having a pocket page as kind of like a base for each month's stories and then adding in inserts as I need them. This kit was super perfect for this month. The kits, of course, are designed for specific months, so I don't think that that is totally a coincidence because, a lot of people travel in July and it's summery, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. But for me, this kit was perfect because not only was it summertime and we had a lot of outdoor activities, we also had that Cape Cod trip. And this kit has a nod to the ocean and the beach, which worked perfectly for what I wanted to document. I'm going through here. You can see I added my photos out first, and then I laid out all of the pocket cards that I thought I wanted to include. I am going to go ahead and switch those up a little bit. You'll see that in a moment, but I essentially want something in each pocket as a starting place so I can kind of start to get a feel for how the spread is going to look. Then I'm starting to lay out embellishments. I laid out some of the die cut pieces onto some of them and just trying to decide what I want to include where. I want to add the date on here, although when you flip through the album, you could probably figure out it's 2021 because I have the date on most of my spreads. I'm trying to include it on all of my title cards on these pages. So I stamped it into that little circle die cut, which said date, which was perfect for this spread. Here is a pocket card from the kit that says the beauty of now. And I wanted to cut this up into strips and use it as an embellishment on these two photos that I adhered together with a piece of washi tape so that they will stay in a 4x6 pocket. When going through the pocket cards, obviously my first thought with them is to use them as a pocket card in a divided page protector. You guys know I love to do divided page protector spreads, but I also like to cut them up. And this is a great way to kind of use your supplies. Sometimes those pocket cards can kind of add up over time and you can start to acquire quite a stash. So using them as embellishments helps you kind of work through that stash. And I also feel like it creates some really unique embellishments because when you manipulate them, it's not going to look exactly the same as everyone else's project. I love cutting those words into strips. I just love the way it looks. I think it's super fun. And I love how that part came out. I'm moving on now. Here, you can see I added a die cut piece onto that photo of my daughter and her dog. And then I'm moving on to these two. I'm going to adhere them again with washi tape on the back so that they can fit into that 4x6 pocket. For these divided page protectors, I'm essentially just using this Design A page protector for all of the months because it's just easier than having to think about the layout I want. But then if I need more 3x4 cards, which is typically the case, just because I have a lot photos to include for one spread. So having the 3x4 pockets gives you more kind of pockets. So for that, I'm most likely going to include 3x4s and some of those 4x6 spots, but I'm not worrying about switching up my page protector, so I don't have to think about it. I did switch those photos, and I switched them primarily because of the colors. This photo here is also from the same day as that 4x6 photo of us all sitting at a table because we went berry picking and we got lunch out there. So that's what those two photos are from, and I wanted to include that. For the journaling card, I am going to include a bullet point list of highlights from the month. I am just stamping out the title. I wanted to stamp this month on here rather than using a journal card from the kit because none of the journaling cards really fit what I wanted. I pulled one of the patterned cards and decided to turn it into a journaling card for myself, which works really well. And I'm going to add a couple of the little rub-ons on here just to add a little bit of something else. It's totally not necessary. And I feel like you almost can't even see it on the video, but you can definitely see it in person. But I'm using these rub-on stars, and I'm actually going to use them as my bullet points for my list because I just wanted to do something a little bit different. Here I'm writing out a little bit longer stories of things that happened this month from what I had written down in my journal when I was going back through the photos and my Project Life album to figure out the stories that I wanted to include. But you can see I'm adding a few longer stories here rather than some of the smaller details, which is a little bit of a switch up from what I had in the past. For this one, I am going to wrap it up after this card. I am using my Pilot Vanishing Point pen here, which is a fountain pen. I'm really loving my fountain pens right now. And so I'm super happy to incorporate them into my scrapbooking. I'm just going to go ahead and slip everything into the pocket, and then I will have a image for you of that final spread. And that is going to wrap this one up. I do plan to share a pocket page or a Project Life spread using this kit I think I'm going to do it in May. So stay tuned for that. It will be coming up soon. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope that you guys like this scrapbook kit from Cocoa Daisy. I think it's definitely one of my favorites this year. So here's that look at that final spread and how it came out. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.